The fan turns. Coffee steams. An anonymous tip pings Leon's tablet, and she leans in alone because the shift has just changed. The elevator doors part behind her. A gloved hand in faded olive presses a folded white cloth to her mouth. The doors close on an empty chair. Knox steps off that elevator at 1421, peacoat rain dark. He stops at the mouth of the bullpen because the desk is wrong. The coffee is still warm. The blazer is still on the chair. The tablet still pings. He taps thumb against forefinger. 1, 2, 3, and turns his watch face out. In the basement audio bench, Hale patches the tip line call into a waveform viewer. Glasses lowered, a half-inch glove still on. She reports 2 signatures the bullpen cannot produce. A low blast at regular interval, and a freight line rumble cresting at the 6th second. Speculation, she adds flatly, is his job. At the old Harrow gate, Mara Quinn steps into cold gravel, notebook open, pen in hand. She asks why a missing Ashvale PD sergeant inside a PD building has not gone public. Lean waves her off. Knox walks past without answering. Mara writes one line and watches him walk. On the conference room monitor, Knox scrolls PD access logs for the 1340 to 1355 window. 4 names resolve into a short list. Harlan Briggs, fired janitor, Taro Ven parolee, Cora Eldridge, defense attorney, Mallory Orend, retired transport officer. Lean's empty chair sits behind him. Harlan Briggs claims he was reading at the Flats Branch Library all afternoon. His voice breaks around the word fired. Knox slides a printout across the table. The angry voicemail Harlan left for the precinct admin. Routing log stamped 1315. Placed from a payphone 2 blocks from the library. Suspect, Harlan Briggs. Stated alibi. Reading the paper at the Flats Branch Library from 1300 to 1430. Inferred opportunity. 14-minute gap between the 1330 bus and library check-in. Inside the disused old Harrow pump house, a single bulb hangs from a conduit. Lean sits in a chipped metal chair, wrists zip-tied, cream shirt rumpled. A gloved hand in faded olive sets a plastic water bottle on the brick at her feet and withdraws. She watches the door close. Taro Ven meets Knox at a coffee counter 2 blocks from the precinct. He denies seeing Lean in 2 years and lifts his cup without a tremor. His neighbor keeps a porch camera across the alley. The feed puts Taro there from 1341 through 1412. He offers the address unprompted. Cora Eldridge sets a legal pad down in her old Harrow office above a roaster. She remembers the case. She did not win it. Lean was a competent witness, and that was the end of her interest. Her calendar shows a courthouse client meeting across the exact 1347 window with 3 witnesses and a court clerk's sign-in. Mallory Orend sits at the interview table, scarred left hand flat, right leg stretched stiff. He claims filing pension paperwork at the City Hall Records Annex, 1330 to 1415. He asks after Lan without looking up. Knox turns the watch face in and writes the claim in pencil. Suspect, Mallory Orend. Stated alibi. Filing pension paperwork at the City Hall Records Annex from 1330 to 1415. Inferred opportunity, PD parking lot 1347 to 1351 per van Dashcam. In the PD evidence locker, Rook Cho bags pocket inventory from the abandoned van, tire iron zip ties, and a matchbook with a silver IH monogram. Knox lifts the matchbook to the light. The silver catches. His watch hand stops for 1 beat. Rook logs the bag and turns away. A narrow brick service road off the old Harrow Gasworks lane. Mallory Orend's utility van sits abandoned, dome light on. A dashcam still records above the rearview mirror. Its card holds a time-stamped loop. Van in the PD lot at 1347 reversing out, entering the Gasworks service lane. Inside the pump house, the single bulb hums. Lean works her left sleeve back to the analog watch on her wrist. She times a low blast from behind the brick. Every 17 minutes, exactly. She files the number. The bulb swings once as something heavy passes outside. Rook Cho pulls the van's dashcam card and mounts it on the lab bench. A 30-second loop fills the monitor. 1347. Van in the PD parking lot. Bullpen fire escape in frame. 1351. Van reversing out. 1357. Van nosing into a brick road behind the gasworks. Knox watches the timestamp. 3 slow beats of thumb against forefinger. Knox remembered a line Lean had asked him across a table 6 months earlier in a rainy docks cafe. She had asked why anyone would plant a thing they knew would be found. The coffee had been black. Her navy blazer had been damp. The memory held 1 beat. The cafe faded. Back at the bullpen monitor, Knox layers 3 schedules over the forced 1406 waveform, the active harbor foghorn, the disused pump house foghorn that tests every 17 minutes off phase, and the 1405 freight spur crossing. All three peaks land in the right order. The overlay hands him one address. A clock minute hand ticks once, twice, a third time. Lean counts the fourth foghorn blast. She works the zip tie against a rivet on the chair leg without letting strain show. The bulb swings once as a freight rumbles past. She stops working as the rumble fades. The latch had rattled with the freight. She will not let it rattle twice. Minutes don't lie. People do. On the corkboard, Knox pins a timeline from 1340 to 1410 and lays 7 index cards. Anonymous tip. Van in the PD lot claimed pension annex window van reversing out gasworks lane entry. Freight passing the spur forced voice message. 1 card sits red at 1347. 2 cards sit on the same minute. In the conference room, Knox draws the pump house footprint from memory. 2 entrances, a low side window, a single interior. He calls 2 plainclothes uniforms. Rook Cho for the evidence envelope, and a duty paramedic on standby. He marks the breach at 17 minutes minus 30 seconds, so the foghorn blast covers the door. Fog along the Old Harrow Gasworks spur. Knox approaches the pump house on foot through wet gravel peacoat dark. 2 plainclothes uniforms spaced behind him. A covered flashlight in his left hand. The low foghorn blows once as he reaches the side window. He signals the breach on the back half of the blast. The pump house door gives. Knox crosses the brick floor to the metal chair in 3 strides. Lean lifts her chin to meet his eyes without speaking. He cuts the zip tie with a pocket knife and supports her elbow. She stands. She walks under her own power. He turns his watch face in as she clears the door. Outside the pump house, a patrol cruiser's red light strobes wet gravel. Lean sits on the ambulance tailboard, white emergency blanket over her shoulders, hands in her lap, eyes steady on a point past the brick. A paramedic checks her pulse. Knox stands 10 feet away and does not approach yet. Mallory Orend sits in the interview room, olive jacket on, scarred left hand flat on the table. Knox sets a tablet between them and loops the van dashcam at 1347. Van in the PD lot. Over it, the City Hall Annex counterfeed for the same minute. No Orend. The stubble on Orend's jaw tightens. His hand curls against the table. Knox stands at the night bullpen board. 4 portraits pinned. Briggs, Venn, Eldridge, Orend. A red X on Briggs at the payphone voicemail stamp of 1315. A red X on Venn at the stoop camera window running 1341 through 1412. A red X on Eldridge at the courthouse sign-in. 1 portrait alone. The dashcam timestamp is the catch. Orend does not try a second lie. He folds his scarred hand over his right knee and lets his weight settle sideways into the chair. The line of his shoulders changes. When he finally speaks, his voice has gone small. The voice of a man who has been holding a shape he cannot hold any longer. Mallory tells it without flourish. An unnamed senior officer inside the PD had come to his door with a private file on his 16-year-old daughter, an arrest record that could be disappeared or charged, and a folded paper with a name. The sergeant. The bullpen at 1347. He had not wanted to. He had a daughter. Knox steps into the corridor. Lean is already there. Emergency blanket folded over one arm. A Maitre Geshurits Pirikasikovskan. Oldzimithiev Warsizmikasmi non-intergace. However, after seeing that Japan's #1 player is a lazy slob who makes excuses for his own incompetence, she plans to show him that real life is the ultimate god-tier game. A paper cup of station coffee in her right hand. They stand a foot apart. Neither speaks. Knox looks down the corridor once. Lean nods once. They walk back into the room together. At booking, Mallory is charged on reduced counts. Unlawful restraint, not the heavier charges the room could have reached for. The district attorney signs a cooperation agreement leaving Orend a witness against the unnamed senior officer. Mallory signs without reading the last page. Knox watches the pen move and turns his silver signet ring once. Late night, fog thick over the gravel. Lean sits on the ambulance tailboard, blanket on her shoulders, hands quiet. Knox lifts his peacoat and drapes it over hers from behind. She does not take it off. He sits beside her. Inside his pocket, untouched, his own silver IH matchbook turns once and rests.